Hello, Anna Marie Ash here, principal broker and owner of Area Real Estate. I just wanted to talk. Let's just have a little quick chit chat. So we've all been hearing on the news and hearing from other friends and colleagues about kind of what's going on in the market. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on what's going on the housing market, especially in the DMV area. So yes, we all have seen that interest rates are increasing. And you may wonder why. Interest rates are increasing because we're kind of going through some inflation, and the inflation is caused by ultimately high consumer demand and low supply. And we've seen that especially in the housing market in the past 2 years, when during the pandemic, when interest rates were super low, that people were trying to take advantage of the super low interest rate and get the best deal possible, and people were clamoring to get homes. Specifically in the DMV area, there's still low inventory from the crash that happened in 2008. And we'll do a little comparison on 2008 versus the housing market today. So when folks were, clamoring to get a home, they were paying over ask, waiving contingencies. It was super competitive, and we're at this space now where we're combating inflation by increasing interest rates to slow spending, and that's exactly what it's doing. It was crazy in the past 2 years during the pandemic, and now it's kind of plateauing by slow increases in the interest rate. So speaking of that, there is an interest rate hike coming at the end of July. So that is on the way, which they have put out in the news quite a bit in the past few months. So kind of what's going on that's different from 2008 versus today. So in 2008, the US went through a housing crisis, and that had many financial implications. And the main reason for that was mainly predatory lending. Banks were giving pretty much anybody that had a pulse a loan, and they didn't have the credit for it. They didn't have the income for it. They couldn't sustain the mortgage. So a lot of people ended up going into foreclosure. And at that time, during the housing crisis, there was a lot more inventory. There was a lot of building going on, where as of now, it stopped years ago. So now that's what's causing the low supply. So when everybody was getting a house, everybody was able to get a loan, the prices plummeted quickly, the fastest it ever has in history. And that's ultimately what made the bubble burst, causing the housing crisis. What's going on now is that we're doing a market correction where we're trying to slow the spending from the low interest rate from the pandemic and all the government assistance to keep people spending, to keep the economy going. So now that it's done a little too much, we need to bring it down. And that's what's happening. But the low inventory is what's going to help sustain the price points. So the numbers I posted on Instagram were the numbers from June. So the sales prices, especially in DC, are still continuing to go up. And it's also happening in PG and Montgomery County. So that's the difference, is that the sales prices are not plummeting, they're actually going up. And they're expected to plateau as the interest rate continues to creep up a little bit throughout the rest of 2022. So if you are concerned that this is going to happen, like the 2008 is going to happen again, that's not what's going to happen, because the people that have been purchasing homes are well qualified. They have the credit score, they have the income, and they can sustain the mortgage. And that's the big difference on what's going on now versus 2008. So we're not headed for a housing crash. So if you are looking to purchase, just make sure you talk to a great lender, which I do have referrals for you if you are looking for some guidance. Just know that interest rates you aren't married to, so you can always refinance. You can get creative ways to get lower interest rates. So it's really important to make sure you have the right team on your side. So feel free to reach out to me if you have particular questions about your personal home ownership goals, or if you have any questions and you need some direction on who to speak to. I'm happy to help. So please feel free to DM me, or you could email me at ash@area-realestate.com. Thanks so much.